Episode 4, Echoes of the Forgotten Tower. Part 1, The Call of the Tower. The night after the battle in the hidden halls, the air around the academy felt different. The corridors that once hummed with laughter and whispers were silent, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath. Arin lay awake, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, where faint ripples of magic flickered like reflections on water. Something was calling to him. He could hear it beneath the stillness, a sound not of this world. It wasn't a voice, not exactly, but a vibration that echoed in the bones rather than the ears. It pulsed softly at first, then grew more insistent, drawing him to the far edge of the academy grounds. Arin sat up. The whispering book glowed faintly on his desk, its silver lettering alive with light. He reached toward it, and the whisper came clearer. "Come to me. The forgotten tower awaits." His heart thudded. The voice wasn't unfamiliar. It carried the same tone that had called him on the night he first found the book. He slipped on his cloak and boots, whispering a soft charm to mute his steps. Outside, the moonlight draped the academy in pale silver, and the spires cast long shadows across the gardens. He passed through the courtyard, past the sleeping wyverns carved into the stone, and through the old iron gate that few dared open. The air grew colder. Ahead, beyond the whispering gardens, rose a tower, ancient, half-crumbling, wrapped in vines that glowed faintly blue under the moonlight. It was taller than any spire in the academy, though no one ever mentioned it in lessons or maps. Leora's voice came from behind him, soft but sharp. "You weren't going to sneak off without us again, were you?" Arin turned. Leora stood there, arms folded, her long braid glinting like silver thread in the dark. Finn trailed beside her, yawning and rubbing his eyes. "You two followed me?" "Obviously," Finn said. "Last time you wandered alone, we ended up fighting shadows the size of horses." Arin sighed, but smiled faintly. "I didn't mean to wake you. There's something calling me. From that tower." Leora's gaze followed his. "The Forgotten Tower," she whispered. "I've read about it. They say it was sealed centuries ago after something terrible happened inside." The whisper came again, clearer now, like a melody woven into the wind. "Find me where the echoes sleep." Leora's eyes widened. "You heard that too?" Arin nodded. Finn shivered. "Great. Another haunted ruin. Why can't the magic never lead us to something normal, like a bakery?" They moved toward the tower, the grass whispering beneath their boots. As they approached, the vines on the stones seemed to shift, curling away to reveal an arched doorway covered in ancient runes. The runes shimmered faintly, familiar symbols from the whispering book. Arin placed his hand on the stone, and a surge of warmth spread through his palm. The runes flared, the air hummed, and the door slowly creaked open, revealing a spiral staircase that vanished into darkness. Finn muttered, "Well, that's not ominous at all." Leora drew a small crystal orb from her satchel, whispering a spell. The orb flared to life, floating beside her, casting gentle white light around them. "Stay close," she said. The steps were narrow, worn smooth by time. Every sound echoed, the creak of boots, the faint hum of magic in the air, and somewhere above the whispering continued, like a song remembered from a dream. As they climbed, the walls changed, first stone, then glass-like crystal, reflecting fragments of light and shadow. The whispers became words. "Long ago, the echoes were sealed to guard the memory of what once was." Arin's chest tightened. He recognized that tone. It was the same ancient voice that had guided him through visions in the mirror hall. At last, they reached a landing. A vast chamber spread before them, circular, filled with dust and broken relics. In the center stood a mirror taller than any person, framed by runes that pulsed like a heartbeat. But unlike other mirrors they had seen, this one reflected nothing, only darkness. Leora approached cautiously. It's absorbing light. Finn threw a small pebble. It vanished mid-air. The whisper rose again, louder now, like many voices overlapping. Echoes of the past, trapped in silence, awaken the memory. Arin stepped forward, heart pounding. "What are you trying to show me?" The book at his belt began to glow. The mirror rippled, and a soft wind filled the chamber. Shadows formed within the glass, twisting into scenes. A younger version of the academy, students running through bright halls, teachers chanting spells beneath banners of silver and blue. Then flames. Screams. A blinding light bursting from the top of the tower. The vision flickered. Leora gasped. That was the academy, hundreds of years ago. The mirror darkened again, and from within its depths came a single word, soft as a sigh. Remember. Arin reached out, his fingertips brushing the glass, and suddenly he was pulled in. Leora shouted his name, but the world folded around him like a collapsing dream. He landed in a corridor of light, the same tower, but unbroken, alive, glowing with ancient energy. The echoes around him were not ghosts, but memories, faint figures of students walking by, their laughter carried like wind through crystal halls. A woman stood at the end of the corridor. Her robes shimmered with runes of gold, her eyes bright as dawn. "You finally came," she said, her voice both kind and sorrowful. Arin froze. "Who are you?" "A guardian of the echoes. The tower remembers everything the world tried to forget." Arin stepped closer. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because the shadows you fight are not born from darkness, but from silence. They are the remnants of voices unremembered, memories denied. The whispering book is not a weapon, Arin. It's a bridge." The light around them trembled, flickering like dying fire. "Find the other echoes," she said urgently, "before the shadows consume them all." Her voice cracked into static as the vision began to fade. "Wait!" Arin shouted. "Who?" The light shattered. He was back in the chamber, gasping, Leora and Finn beside him. The mirror had gone dark. Leora grabbed his shoulder. "What happened? You were gone for minutes." Arin looked down at his hands. Faint golden light still shimmered across his skin, fading slowly. "I saw the tower as it used to be, and someone inside it. She said the echoes are memories, and they're in danger." Finn swallowed hard. "So, we're saving memories now?" Arin turned toward the mirror once more. The runes had dimmed, but one line remained glowing faintly. "Seek the tower's heart before the next moon wanes." The wind outside howled softly through the broken stones, carrying a whisper only Arin could hear. The call has only begun.
Episode 4, Echoes of the Forgotten Tower. Part 2, Secrets in the Dust. The wind outside the Forgotten Tower had quieted, but inside, an uneasy stillness remained. Dust drifted through the air like glittering snow, swirling gently in the pale light from Leora's crystal orb. The mirror behind them had gone completely dark now, a silent monolith that seemed to hum faintly, as though remembering what it had shown. Arin brushed his palms on his robes, still trembling from what he had seen. "That wasn't just a vision," he whispered. It felt real, like I was walking through time itself. Finn kicked a bit of rubble near the mirror's base. Real or not, it nearly scared us to death when you vanished into that thing. Leora was still staring at the runes. Her expression was grave, thoughtful. "The tower remembers," she murmured, quoting the voice Arin had heard. "If it holds memories of the past, then maybe it's part of the Academy's origin, maybe even the first place it was built." The crystal orb pulsed softly, as though reacting to her words. Shadows flickered along the walls, and faint markings began to emerge under the dust, runes spiraling outward from the mirror like ripples in water. Arin stepped closer. These weren't here before. Leora knelt, brushing her hand along one of the carvings. "Old magic," she said. "Maybe protective or binding. It's faded, but not gone." Finn raised an eyebrow. "Binding what, exactly?" The air grew colder. Somewhere deep in the tower, something shifted, a low grinding sound like stone against stone. Arin's pulse quickened. "I think we're about to find out," he said quietly. They followed the sound down a narrow hallway that curved in impossible ways. The more they walked, the more the space seemed to fold around them. The tower felt alive, its architecture bending like a dream trying to remember its shape. At last, the path opened into a circular chamber. In the center stood an enormous hourglass, its frame carved from dark wood, the glass filled not with sand, but with shimmering silver dust. The dust moved slowly, like smoke under water, twisting and swirling on its own. Finn whistled softly. "Okay, that's unsettling." Leora's eyes widened. "It's not an hourglass," she said. "It's a memory vessel." Arin tilted his head. "A what?" Ancient mages used them to store echoes of great events, fragments of time captured before they could fade. They were banned after the First Age because some memories refused to stay contained. Arin stared at the shifting silver dust. "Do you think this one still works?" Leora hesitated. "If it does, it's dangerous." But before she could stop him, Arin stepped forward. The whispering book at his side began to glow faintly, its light resonating with the vessel. The silver dust inside stirred faster, swirling toward the top chamber. The tower trembled. Finn stumbled backward. "Arin, what did you do?" The dust burst upward in a spiral of light, filling the air with swirling images, faces, voices, flashes of color. They surrounded the trio, forming a ghostly panorama. They saw the academy as it once was. Towers unbroken, students practicing spells beneath crystal skies, laughter echoing through the courtyards. But the beauty quickly turned to chaos. Flames erupted. Shadows swept through the halls. Figures cloaked in darkness stormed the tower, their eyes glowing with crimson fire. "The seal must hold," shouted a voice from within the vision, a woman's, the same one Arin had seen in the mirror. "If it breaks, the echoes will consume everything." The vision shuddered. The woman raised her hands, weaving a sigil of gold and silver that wrapped the tower with light, the very runes carved into the walls around them. Then, as suddenly as it began, the memory collapsed. The dust fell still, and silence returned. Leora's voice was barely above a whisper. "That was the day the tower was sealed." Arin's throat tightened. "So the shadows we fought in the hidden halls, they're connected to this." Finn crossed his arms, trying to steady himself. "And if those things are breaking free again, maybe whatever she sealed is waking up." The whispering book vibrated softly at Arin's side. He opened it, and words began to form across the glowing pages, written in that same golden ink as before. "Echo Guardian still sleeps beneath the dust. Awaken it, and the truth shall rise." Arin glanced up. The Echo Guardian. The woman mentioned a guardian before. Could it still be here? Leora's gaze followed his. If the book says so, then yes, but awakening it won't be easy.
They began to search the chamber. Beneath the cracked tiles, they found faint lines forming a symbol, a circle intersected by 4 rays. Leora traced the outline with her wand, murmuring an incantation. A deep rumble filled the floor. The hourglass began to sink into the ground, revealing a staircase spiraling downward, illuminated by silver flames that flickered to life one by one. Finn groaned, because of course there's a secret basement under the creepy tower. "Stay close," Leora warned. "Whatever's down there has been sleeping for centuries." As they descended, the air grew warmer, charged with magic so dense it hummed against their skin. The walls shimmered with threads of light, like veins of living energy. At the bottom lay a vast underground hall. In the center stood a statue, enormous, carved from white stone. It depicted a Bardian creature with wings of crystal and eyes like molten gold, kneeling as if in eternal vigil. But it wasn't just stone. Faint light pulsed from within its chest, like a slow heartbeat. Leora stepped closer, awestruck. "It's still alive." Finn swallowed. "Alive? That thing's 10 feet tall." The whispering book began to hum louder. The pages flipped on their own, stopping at a sigil Arin hadn't seen before, the same pattern carved beneath the hourglass. "It wants me to use this," Arin said. Leora's hand shot out. "Wait! You don't know what it'll do!" But the Guardian's heartbeat quickened, resonating with the book. The light spread through the chamber, wrapping around Arin like a golden current. His hair lifted slightly, and the air filled with the low vibration of awakening power. He spoke the words on the page, his voice steady, though his hands trembled. "By the echoes that remember, by the light that endures, awaken, Guardian of the Forgotten." A shock wave of energy burst outward. Dust exploded from the statue's wings as they began to unfold, crystal feathers scattering light across the walls. The stone melted away, revealing living metal beneath. The Guardian opened its eyes. Gold light poured forth. It rose slowly, towering above them, its voice deep and resonant. "Who summons the Keeper of Echoes?" Arin stepped forward. "I'm Arin. The Whispering Book brought me here." The Guardian studied him with eyes like suns. "The book chose you? Then the time has come." Finn took a cautious step back. Time for what exactly? "The seal that binds the shadows weakens. The echoes you've seen, fragments of memory, must be restored before the void consumes them. Only by uniting the echoes can the Academy be whole again." Leora frowned. "How? Where do we find these echoes?" The Guardian extended a hand, and 3 glowing shards appeared, flowing before them. Each pulsed with faint light, one blue, one silver, and one crimson. "These are the fragments of memory," it said, "hidden in the halls of the Academy, bound by trials of heart, mind, and spirit. You must find them before the next moon wanes." Arin reached out, and the shards shimmered, merging into his palm before vanishing. The Guardian's voice echoed softer now, fading. "Beware, the shadows hunger for what you seek." Its light dimmed. The Guardian's wings folded again, and the great figure went still, as though returning to sleep. The silence that followed was heavy. Finn finally broke it. "Okay, so we woke up a magical stone bird. It gave us homework from the dawn of time, and now we have to find glowing memory shards before shadow monsters eat them? Did I miss anything? Leora smiled faintly despite herself. That sounds about right. Arin looked at his hands, where faint traces of golden light still lingered. His heartbeat steadied. "Then we'll find them," he said quietly, "whatever it takes." They climbed back toward the upper chamber, the faint rumble of the Guardian's heart echoing behind them. When they reached the surface, dawn was breaking, sunlight pouring through the cracks of the tower, chasing away the last of the shadows. Arin stood beside Leora, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "The first echo? Where do you think it is?" Arin glanced at the whispering book. The pages turned themselves, revealing a map of the academy and a glowing mark deep within the forest beyond the eastern walls. He smiled faintly. "Looks like the book already knows." Finn groaned. "Fantastic. I just hope this one doesn't involve falling into another magical pit." The three of them stepped into the light, the tower standing silent behind them, its secret awakened once more. But as they walked away, deep within the tower, the mirror flickered one last time, and a faint shadow passed across its surface. A whisper, almost too soft to hear. "The echoes remember, but so do the shadows." Episode 4, Echoes of the Forgotten Tower, Part 3, The Awakening Echo. The air inside the Forgotten Tower thickened, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Arin stepped closer to the spiraling altar at the center. The floating crystal pulsed faintly, echoing the rhythm of his own heartbeat. "Something's calling me," he murmured. Finn raised a hand warily. "Are you sure that's a good thing? The last time you said that, we almost drowned in a mirror." But Arin barely heard him. The crystal's hum became a whisper, familiar, almost like his own voice speaking back from another time. "Arin, of the blood of Avaris, child of the binding light." His fingers trembled as they reached toward it. The moment his skin touched the surface, the tower blazed to life. Ancient glyphs rippled through the walls, glowing in concentric rings that expanded outward, forming a constellation of runes in midair. Leora gasped, shielding her eyes. "It's reacting to you!" Then the world broke open. A blinding wave of memory swept through him, not his own, but belonging to someone who had once stood in the same place, centuries ago. He saw flashes, the academy before it fell into ruin, students in silver robes chanting beneath the moon, and at the center, a figure whose eyes burned with golden fire. The same face as his. "Who are you?" Arin whispered into the vision. The figure turned. "I am what remains of your origin. You are the echo of my last spell." The vision shattered into light. Arin fell to his knees, gasping. Leora ran to him, gripping his shoulders. "Arin, talk to me. What did you see?" He blinked rapidly. The image burned into his mind. "Myself, but older. He said I was his echo." Finn frowned. "That doesn't even make sense. How can you be someone's echo?" Before Arin could answer, the crystal above them split apart into 7 shards of light. Each shard spun around him, then shot outward, one embedding itself into his chest, the rest scattering into the upper floors of the tower. The tremor that followed was enormous. "Run!" Leora shouted. But Arin stood his ground. The shard embedded in his chest flared white, lifting him slightly off the ground. His eyes glowed, and his voice, when it came, was layered with another's. "The seal of Avaris has been broken. The whispers will awaken once more." Then silence. The light faded, and Arin collapsed.
When he opened his eyes again, the tower was no longer falling apart, but restored. Polished marble gleamed under soft moonlight, banners hung from the ceiling, and outside the window, the academy grounds looked whole again. Leora's voice was distant. "Arin, where are we?" He rose slowly, confusion filling him. "I think we're in the tower's memory." Figures began to appear, ghostly, translucent students and teachers walking the halls, unaware of their presence. They spoke in the ancient tongue of the Whispering Academy, their voices overlapping in chants and laughter. A hooded figure descended the stairways, the same golden-eyed man from Arin's vision. "You've come far, young Echo. The past calls to you, but it is not yet yours to bear." Arin's heart pounded. "Are you Avaris?" The man nodded once. "I am the memory of him, the guardian of what you must one day awaken." He reached out, touching Arin's forehead. "When the shadows rise from beneath the halls, remember this tower and the voice within you. The whisper is not a curse, but a bridge." Then everything shattered. The vision dissolved into blinding white. When it cleared, Arin, Leora, and Finn were back at the base of the tower. The crystal was gone, the doors behind them stood open, morning light streaming through. Finn exhaled shakily. "Tell me, we're done with cursed architecture for a while." Leora smiled faintly, though her eyes lingered on Arin. "You said the whisper is a bridge. Between what?" Arin stared out toward the horizon. "Between who I was and who I'm supposed to become." The tower gave one last low hum, as if acknowledging his words. And from somewhere deep within its stones, a faint whisper answered. "Awaken, child of Avaris."